Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm Yash. I'm the founder at SARAL, which is the influencer OS that powers a lot of brands that run their influencer programs, right? But aside from that, I've worked with over 200 brands and spoken to thousands of marketers exactly like you, and we've spoken about this question of which platform to pick for influencer marketing, right? So I'm finally recording this video. I can answer this question once and for all and cement my answer, imprint it on the universe in the form of this YouTube video. So stick around till the end because I'm going to share a decision-making flowchart. If you've been following some of my other videos, you know that I'm a big fan of flowcharts and like diagrams and so on. So I'm going to share something with you that will be really, really helpful. And I'm going to answer the question of which platform is the best for your influencer marketing efforts, right? So let's dive in. Rule number one, always go where your customers are. Ignore everything else that I'm going to say in this video. If your customers are on Instagram, go on Instagram. If your customers are primarily on Pinterest, go on Pinterest. Like whichever platform your customers are on, go after that platform. Ignore all the tactics and like for example, if you're selling to moms, they're very likely to be on Instagram and Pinterest more than they are on say TikTok. Or let's say you're selling a beauty product, very likely your audience is going to be on TikTok than they are on say watching long form podcasts on YouTube, for example, right? So have that in mind. Pick a main platform that your audience generally is on. Obviously everybody's everywhere nowadays, right? So there's no like moms are on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they're everywhere. But which is the main platform that your audience congregates on? Pick that platform. So that is just the fundamental rule that like even if you take nothing else from this video, remember, very simple, basic marketing 101, go where your customers are, right? So I'm going to start sharing my screen and give you a broad picture understanding of where these platforms stand, what the pros and cons of each ones are, and what you can expect to get out of TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, because these are the main three platforms that you would be deciding about anyway. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're now in my favorite part of the video, and hopefully the most useful part of the video for you is this kind of platform breakdown, right? So if you plot platforms on a spectrum, right? So TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. There is a reason why I've ordered them in the way that I've ordered, right? TikTok and Instagram are kind of two ends of a spectrum, and I'll dive into what the spectrum actually is. But basically, if you go with TikTok, very likely what you're gonna get is a lot of awareness, right? So I'm just gonna be in the middle of these platforms. So what you're gonna get with TikTok is a lot of awareness, right? So you have a potential for virality. You get a lot of views on TikTok, versus if you go the other end on YouTube, very likely you're gonna get not a lot of views. Like they're very common for YouTubers with 10,000 subscribers to post something and it like gets 600, 700 views, right? But the good thing about YouTube is it's a search engine. It's mostly used on tablets or on desktops or on laptops, which means people are more inclined to buy. It's the only platform out of all of these that allows a click on the platform directly in the view of the video. So you can't click away from a reel if you're watching a reel on Instagram. You can't click away from a TikTok if you're watching a TikTok, but you can click away from a YouTube video by clicking a link in the description or in the comments, right? So YouTube is the most conversion focused of all of these. TikTok is the most awareness focused. Based on our experience, what we've seen is Instagram is kind of in the middle, where you get a little bit of conversions also. You can expect conversions from Instagram. There's no guarantee of getting conversions. You can expect conversions on Instagram, and you can also expect some awareness because like Instagram's trying to be like TikTok. They have Reels now, which is like competing with TikTok videos and so on. So this is the spectrum, right? So if you just know that if you pick TikTok, let's say for example, you follow rule number one, which is where is my audience? And you're like, okay, my audience is on TikTok. Know that you're not going to get a lot of trackable conversions from TikTok, right? You're not gonna, like, people are not gonna watch a TikTok and then click and then go on your website and buy, right? What if you figure out that, hey, my audience is like, let's say for example, you're selling a health supplement that's like very detailed. Maybe your audience is watching these like fitness YouTubers, or they're consuming these health fitness like optimization podcasts and so on, right? That's a more deliberate audience. They're probably on YouTube watching podcasts or long format videos, right? And by long format, I mean like more than 10 minutes. So they're more likely to click and buy, right? So if your audience is on YouTube, you can expect conversions. Your audience is on TikTok, you can expect more awareness. You should do Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you can expect a mix of both of these words, but still leaning towards the awareness side of things, right? Because again, remember that Instagram does not allow a click. Does this mean it's the end of the world? No, not really, right? So influencer marketing is not just about getting the direct conversion, and we can dive into that directly in another video. If your audience is on TikTok, be on TikTok. They're going to consume you on TikTok. They're going to see 5 influencers on TikTok promote you within the span of 2 weeks, and they're going to Google you and they're going to buy, right? So the conversion still happens. Is what I'm talking about here is in terms of trackable conversions, right? So that's what the spectrum is about. Just wanted to walk you through this. Now I'm going to share the decision-making matrix with the pros and cons, so you can finally like really deeply understand which platform to pick. So let's switch. Here is the decision-making flowchart that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, right? So we have a platform breakdown. As usual, let's dive into TikTok first. So if you're into TikTok, what are the pros and the cons of TikTok, right? So if I open up the pros is it's very low budget, right? So what you're gonna see is like you can convince TikTokers to post about something for just a free product or a very, very small fee. So it's very low budget friendly. So if you don't necessarily have like a $10,000 budget per month for your influencer campaigns, go with TikTok, right? Because it's like it's a low budget friendly platform, right? It's also very high volume. You can find more TikTokers because everybody's a TikTok. Every 20-year-old is a TikToker, right? So it's like you're gonna find a high volume of creators. Like it's probably very likely you're gonna find more TikTokers in any niche than you're gonna find YouTubers, because obviously YouTube is a harder platform to crack, and we'll get there when we talk about YouTube. But it's a very high volume platform, which is very good for you because you can have a low budget, high volume effort, which is usually also called seeding or gifting or ambassador and stuff like that, and push your product on TikTok. You have a potential for virality on TikTok, which you don't necessarily have that much on Instagram and YouTube. TikTok as a platform rewards great content. We all know that, we've all heard that, right? So if you partner with a great influencer who's great at making content, they might go viral and your product might go viral as a result, right? So there's potential for virality on TikTok. But again, this should not be the reason that you pick TikTok. Do not ever chase virality. I'm just saying that this is what you get as part of the package if your audience is on TikTok. So you can play to these strengths, like you can devise your strategy based on these strengths. I hope I'm making sense here. On the cons, right? Because everything has trade-offs. So open up the cons. Do not expect conversions from TikTok, okay? If you're gonna look at the platform, have you seen anyone scroll TikTok? It's like, that's it, right? Nobody's gonna go interesting product, and then you're gonna go to the link in bio and buy. Not gonna happen, right? That's a pipe dream. Do not think you're gonna get conversions. If you get conversions, obviously you're gonna get some conversions, but do not expect conversions from TikTok. Expect a lot of awareness, potential virality, a lot of influencers promoting you for nearly free, right? Or free product. So that's that. Do not expect conversions directly attributed to TikTok. What is going to happen? Obviously, if you get 100,000 views on TikTok, those 100,000 people are going to Google you and potentially buy from you. So you will get sales. When I say conversions, I mean trackable conversions on TikTok. Do not expect that to happen. TikTok is also very short-lived. A TikTok probably runs for, the first 2 days or so, and then it's dead, right? Like nobody watches that TikTok ever again, no matter how good it is. Every day there's a new viral thing, a new trend happening on TikTok. So do not expect a TikTok trend, or even if you get the virality, it's going to be short-lived, right? So it's not a long-term viable strategy, right? So you always have to be investing in TikTok is not going to pay dividends over the long run for you. And then this is great, right? So if you're a skincare brand, if you're a beauty brand, if you're a relatively cheaper product that you can send out, in terms of cost of goods that you can just send out to influencers, you don't have as much of a budget, you're a little bit mass market, you're not water bottle for vegan moms, you're not super niche, you're a skincare product or something like that. Very likely TikTok is a great platform for you because it fits all of your brand fits the pros of TikTok, right? Now we'll come to Instagram, but let's dive into YouTube because I want to show you the two extreme ends of the spectrum, and then we can talk about the middle. Go to YouTube. The pros, kind of like the border opposite spectrum, right? So surprise, surprise, get a lot of conversions from YouTube, right? So YouTube is going to be conversion friendly. Like I said earlier in the video, somebody's on YouTube, they're either on their tablet, they're on their computer, they're gonna click the link on the description, they're gonna visit the website, potentially buy. The click-through rates on YouTube are way higher than they are on TikTok, right? So you're gonna get conversions. You can expect conversions. If you're not getting conversions from YouTube videos, something is wrong, right? So that's that. Long lasting. YouTube is a freaking search engine, right? So it's gonna it's like the video is just going to be there. So let's say, for example, I stick to let's say you're the health example, right? So you're a health supplement for longevity or whatever. That podcast that you're on it's just going to last there forever. If they're talking about a certain topic, let's say biohacking, it's going to show up somewhere on the search results in the recommendations for that keyword, for that interest group. So it's long lasting. You don't necessarily get a high spike in conversions. You're not going to get 100,000 views in 2 days, but what you will get is 1,000 views every day for the next 100 days, right? So that's like, you get that. So you have a long lasting, and like not just 100 days, like 1,000 days, right? Like if it's an evergreen topic, it's only gonna rank on YouTube, it's gonna keep getting views, right? So it's not uncommon for 2-3-year-old YouTube videos with affiliate links to constantly get sales for brands. So YouTube is really good for that. It has SEO value, like I said, right? So you're ranking for certain keywords, your product is showing up in videos about a particular theme that you have. That's SEO value for you, right? So it's preserved. It's not short-lived like TikTok is, right? So nobody can necessarily search on TikTok and find a video about something, but on YouTube they can. It's the pros of YouTube, but like we discussed, there's cons to everything. So what are the cons? Way higher budget, and the reason for that is if you look at a YouTube video, it's 10 to 15 minutes long, or any good one, and then it's very high production quality, right? So if you're working with an influencer, they're gonna have a set, or even if it's in their house, it's a small set, they have a set, they gotta get a script written, they gotta hire an editor. It's a long process, right? Which means it's higher budget. Do not expect to send your $20 skincare cream to an influencer and expect them to make a whole 15-minute long video review about it. Not gonna happen. Sometimes might happen if they're like a super fan, you've really got a great product, but in most cases you cannot expect that to happen. So higher budget. If you have budget, or if you decide to go on YouTube, make sure that you have some budget, right? Because people are going to ask you for money, and rightfully so. Those creators, they deserve to be paid for the work that they're putting in, and you get the results. Like, it's not like you're going to just pay them for nothing. You're going to get the conversions, you're going to get the long-lasting SEO value and so on, but it's higher budget. So if let's say, for example, you're a new brand and you cannot afford to pay influencers $500 for a video, probably not, don't look at YouTube, right? Do something else. Another con, it's a longer time to produce. On TikTok, you can send a product, it's delivered, they unbox, they make a quick video, they post, right? Very quick time to production. YouTube, it's normal to wait a week or 2 weeks for a video review to go live. So if you're looking for speed, if you have like a sale coming up, if you have some like a promotion going live, plan in advance if you're on YouTube, or do not expect it to be done in time. And it's very common for YouTubers to also have delays, and that's just natural part of any creative process, right? There's going to be some natural delay in the process, so it takes a longer time to produce. So these are the pros and cons of YouTube. Instagram, as you can imagine, is bang on in the middle. I would say still, I'm just gonna like put this a little bit here, thousands of still leaning towards the TikTok side, right? So you cannot necessarily expect a lot of conversions from Instagram. You can expect a little bit of both, right? Because Instagram also has a link in bio. Instagram has the story. So if they post a reel, then they share the reel and they add the link in the story. Stories are really good for direct conversions, right? So you get some conversions, but it's not necessarily like as good as YouTube for conversions or as good as TikTok for awareness. It's somewhere in the middle, which means it is a great first choice. So if you're, generally speaking, Instagram fits the fundamental rule number 1 that I shared earlier on in the video. Basically, regardless of whatever niche you're selling on, Instagram is pretty much the biggest social media platform. Very likely your audience is on Instagram. There's some super niche creators on Instagram also available. Most TikTokers also are on Instagram, right? So Unless you're in some obscure niche that's only on YouTube, Instagram is the safest bet. So if you're starting off your influencer program, we mostly recommend starting off with Instagram because you kind of get the best of both worlds, and then you can diversify into one of the two extreme ends of the spectrum. So this was my platform breakdown. I hope you know, if this was good, take a screenshot, save this video, share it, something like that. But then this is the platform breakdown. Now, what did we learn? We learned to ask ourselves which is the platform that my target customers hang out on. We also learned that Instagram is probably the safest option because regardless of whatever, you get the best, first off, you get the best of both worlds, and regardless of what kind of niche or target customer you have, very likely they are on Instagram. We also learned the pros and the cons of each platform so that you can adjust your strategy based on and play to the strengths and weaknesses of each platform so you capitalize and get the most out of each one. So that's it. If you like this video, you now understand which platform to pick. Leave a like, leave a comment. If you still have questions, I reply to all my comments. And if you want to find influencers on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube and you want to search for keywords, you want to search for other brands and see which influencers they're working with, or if you want to put in like an example influencer and it gives you more influencers like that influencer, check out getsaral.com. The link is in the description. It's a link to a free trial that you can sign up on and book a call with me or my team. We'll exactly guide you to find the best influencers for your brand. So that's it. Hope you liked it. I will see you in the next one. Bye.